Welcome back to MX Gaming News here on Start Your Systems. I'm your host, Kellen Brower, and today we're going to continue on with our exclusive interview with the Milestone developers, Michele Caletti and Sebastiano Stefanetto, talking actually this time about the feedback that they've already garnered from the community and made changes to the game before the game has even launched. They listened to you guys talking about the scaling of the track, the size of the jumps, and a lot of other things to do with how they're building these racetracks that you guys were already putting feedback in based on videos we saw from Wyndham and obviously some gameplay videos from the actual developers themselves. So let's jump in and talk to them about why they're making these changes and how they're implementing them so fast. We obviously saw some feedback to the gameplay that you guys posted, that Wyndham posted, and some others. The general feedback was some changing in the structuring of the jumps around the racetrack. What are some of the steps that you guys are already taking now and seeing that to maybe make those changes or make some quick improvements before the game even launches?
Yeah, it's worth talking about it a little more in depth because it's pretty complex. This year, it's the first time we've been making the game based on blueprints provided by the truck designer by Feld instead of the usual scans we use making with drones. So, and it was much in advance before when they were created. We started in June, and the footage you've published was from a build of, I think, November. So nothing was existent in reality by then. So we knew that there could be some differences, and we've been watching the races, noting some bigger or smaller differences, and again taking in account the feedbacks. But this has been going on for some time. We are at race 9, still 8 to go. So there's a lot of work still to be done. And so we're reworking the jumps, having a look to the reality and having a look to what we see fit to make them more realistic. That basically is what the players are asking. So we're sharpening the jumps, but it's not that easy. You can adjust the jumps, but then there's a lot of more things to do. You have to refit all the things that go along and then retrain the AI. Right, Sebastiano?
Yes, it's a complex matter, actually. We were planning to do so over time, allowing all the races to be raced in real life. So actually now we are approaching this matter, and we are basically proceeding in the same way that the community is asking for. So it's
because they've been raced, basically. There's something to see
that helps
to make a cross check against the tracks. So by day 1, we are pretty confident to deliver 4 tracks being updated with sharper and higher jumps, but we are also testing them to make the flow consistent in order not to break the feeling of the game. So it's a pretty lengthy. Then along the following month and a half or so, we can cover all the others in order to give the updates, big or small they are, and obviously everything that goes along. And a big emphasis on the fact that raising a jump is just the first step. You need to play test it a lot, be convinced by results, then train the AI and make it work with everything that goes. And we're also working on corner bankings, right, Sebastiano?
Yeah, corner banking. The graphics of the tracks had to be revised a little bit, of course, too. And I think the most complicated thing that we actually is fun to do, so that's good, but still complicated is that when you rise a jump, when you make it a little bit thinner, the player is able to fly higher, of course, but that changes completely the flow of the track, of the rhythm section that you're racing on. on the step up that you have to land upon. It's a lot of moving pieces that have to match. So there's also this complete new combination of flows that we have to retest from zero. This is why it's not going to happen overnight, of course.
No, we can show you, and you will show some new footage about Glendale. And the first time we played back the updated track, it was different. You obviously, it's not like night and day, but you can recognize that it's different. And so doing it properly takes a bit of time. But we're putting the care and the extra effort that we thought and we knew that it would be needed. So we're doing the job, and we're going to cover all the tracks.
I know, like you mentioned, everything is seemingly a bit steeper, taller, and then obviously you talked about the berms also being a bit bigger or more kind of like angled. How do you feel that the physics have interacted with those changes so far? Because obviously it will make the kind of player experience a little bit different than what initially the tracks were built as.
Well, the physics are flexible enough, right, Sebastiano? Yeah. It's not like it's breaking up.
So we had this rehaul of the tracks in mind before. We actually experimented this physics system on 3 types of tracks: the Supercross, the MX, and the straights. Physics is able to match whatever changes you make on the track. It just takes time, but it's gonna be complete, once we decide it is. So it's not these are not 2 systems that cannot work together, of course.
No, we're not changing the physics. In fact, we're taking care about positioning and the profile of the jumps, but we're not touching the physics because we are pretty sure that they, as Sebastiano was saying, they work in very different environments pretty well. So we just need to do what the track designers do. So create a good flow and a challenging but not overwhelming flow for the players. So we're doing it.
I know you also mentioned that you're very confident at launch there will be those 4 tracks that are more updated to this. What sort of timeline do you hope to have then with post-launch of making these updates so that the players will be able to experience the new and improved tracks, as you say?
Yeah, we're saying that we're still figuring out because we don't really know completely, because with still rounds, 8 rounds to be raced, it's pretty hard to guess how much we will need to work on those remaining trucks. But we think that in something like 1 month and a half after launch, we can adjust all of them to be more consistent. In the meantime, some jumps may change. Sometimes some jumps may be very similar. We'll figure it out, but it's an ongoing process.
Yeah, it's not something that we can plan like straight away, because another interesting thing to do once you have the map open to do your changes is actually going back to the videos of the in real life races to actually see the preferred kind of flows that the player decided to took. Well, the riders, and actually grasp them and translating them inside the game. So it kind of enlengthens the process a little bit, but for good sake, of course. So it's not going to be like a snap of fingers, of course.
No. The most complicated part is when you realize that when they built it, they made it slightly different, not in the profile of the jumps, but in the layout of the jumps. So something that was in the map, it's in another place or is not existent. Sometimes it happens in a very, very different way, but hopefully the remaining 8 will not be so drastic, so will be quicker. We're also obviously working on many other things like the profiles of the corners, how the interaction with the terrain works, many other things. It's not all we're going to deliver after day one, but yeah, we knew there was a lot of interest around the trucks, so it was worth talking about this topic for some time.
Lastly, I'll ask you guys about this is how important is this whole process of taking the consumer feedback that you saw and making quick adjustments? Because you've had 2 years to kind of rebuild this game, and now that people have actually seen it, I'm sure it's kind of a bit frantic to make those adjustments on the fly and do it. But obviously, to you guys, it seems to be a big piece of the puzzle.
Well, it's not like we had 2 years to make the game, yes, but we didn't have, unfortunately, 2 years to do everything in this game because, as I was saying, we received the first blueprints in June, so it was not any close to 2 years. And for deliveries and the bikes and the riders, it was even less. So yeah, this game is a big challenge, and it's an adventure for us, and it's going to be an adventure for the players because it's the first time we're able to deliver it. And should we had really 2 years to make everything from the beginning, this would be a much more relaxed trip. But making games is fun also because it's not always about relaxing. You have to be quick and to react. Yeah, we're doing it, and it's not easy, but it's something that is being in the process.
Yeah, it's also something that was actually part of the plan since the beginning of the game. We decided, after 6 iterations of the game, to take and analyze all of what was happening in the YouTube comments, Instagram comments, and the community overall. And opening a channel with you guys as well, with you, Kellen, of course, was kind of part of this thing that we're talking about, listening to the community at whatever cost, and try to understand what's really vital for the game and react real fast. So we're kind of doing it. It was part of the game all along. It's built on this because we decided with these 2 years of iteration to take our time to do so as well.
Yeah, awesome. Well, we were also ready for major changes of, I don't know, some riders signing at last minute for another team. Truth is, making the championship while it's running, it's really hard. And you have to be ready, you have to be with your eyes open and be receptive. Always we're adjusting very, very little things into the animations, into the little details, but it's normal. What is different from the other years of Supercross is this big challenge of portraying the championship while it's going on. It's a moving picture. So this is the big difference. Everything else, it's not run of the mill because making games is never this, but it's something that we were somehow used to. But this is the big difference.
If you like that video, be sure to subscribe to the channel for much more motocross gaming content.